All right, let's get into our next discussion now. As the 2019 elections draw near, many aspirants are trying their best to sell themselves and their ideas to prospective voters. Elections cost money, I must say.
Indeed. And there's the issue of paying for logistics, mobilizing people, advertisements, jingles, meetings, amongst others. Now, the commercialization of the electoral process has put a burden on those who want to campaign and ultimately election outcomes. Now, bringing us to the question, how exactly do candidates get money to fund their campaigns, and how does this affect the electoral process?
That's what we'll be talking about next. And we have joining us from Abuja, a social commentator, someone who has been following this development. He's also the Executive Director, Center for Citizens with Disabilities, David Anyele. David, good morning. It's nice to have you join us.
I'm excited to be with you this morning.
All right, great. First of all, I know you've been listening to debates and comments from Nigerians regarding vote buying and role of money in election, especially from the last election in Ekiti State. Generally, what has been your concern? Let me start from there. What is your concern generally as to the role of money in our election?
To be frank with you, I'm seriously concerned about the situation. I observed Edo governorship election, and I saw the role of money in the whole process. I observed Ondo State governorship election. I also observed Anambra State governorship election, in which vote buying played a critical role in the behavior of voters. Then coming to Ekiti State, it was astonishing, the next level of how Nigerians or Ekiti indigenes, use see and buy vote as a tool to determine who they elect. Is a serious concern. Vote buying is a threat to national security. Vote buying is a threat to our democracy. What this means is this: if an enemy of the state could be able to mobilize resources to buy voters, such individual can take over. Just get this kind of picture. A situation whereby, let's assume, a Boko Haram group want to take over a particular state or 5 states. What they need to do is to mobilize resources and identify the total number of registered voters and place a fee on each of them. By so doing, they will be able to use this fund to conquer all these states without necessarily shooting a single bullet. So, to me, vote buying is a threat to national safety and security, and every Nigerian must be concerned about this situation.
Of course, vote buying is, one part of the twin evils of corruption in the electoral process. There is corruption as far as fraudulent, campaign funding and all of that. The law, the Nigerian Constitution, 225 to 226, actually recommends, that for INEC to be able, or empowers INEC to monitor, inquire, and of course find out how the parties access their campaign funding and how they disburse these funds, for campaigns. Would you say that the Constitution has been rendered almost ineffective? Because we've never heard that INEC went out of its way to find out or to carry out this responsibility, and no party really has been transparent enough to tell the people where they get their funding from and how it's spent.
Yeah, it's a serious issue for INEC, recognizing that INEC major primary concern or responsibility is to conduct elections. Now, the issue of monitoring political party finance is a huge burden for them. That is why I commend the INEC chair during his interaction with the acting chairman of EFCC, in which he invited EFCC to support them by putting their eyes on issues around campaign financing, recognizing that EFCC has the capacity and capability to track, monitor, and identify illegal money entering into our political and election campaign processes in Nigeria. Beyond inviting EFCC, it is also important that INEC sensitize citizens on this issue of political party financing, so as Nigerians will appreciate their role and responsibility in area of sharing information, not only to INEC, but also to EFCC, so as they will do the needful by bringing corrupt politicians to account.
Yeah, but in this case, we know INEC has frowned at the pay-as-you-vote system where the way it was tagged, where parties are involved or even candidates necessarily are involved in this process. But how challenging do you think it is for INEC and even the security agencies and maybe even EFCC to try to handle this situation and bring it to an end, seeing that politicians often move with cash and large amounts of money that certainly cannot be traced sometimes during the electioneering process?
Yeah, yes, it's a huge challenge. However, a situation where Nigerians are sensitized, they appreciate their role and responsibility in tracking illegal financing, it will go a long way by supporting INEC as well as EFCC. And this brings to book on the need to restructure INEC and to create a special agency for political party monitoring, so as to ensure that a serious monitoring of political parties' activities is enhanced. A situation where INEC is involved in election, INEC is involved in political party monitoring and other activities, they may not be able to achieve the desired result in terms of tracking and monitoring corrupt practices around campaign financing. As such, the need to break INEC for other activities, for other agencies that will support and focus on the political party monitoring is necessary at a time such as this.
Would you say the laws that actually guide the electoral process themselves are faulty? And when the fundamentals are not right, what do you build on it? I mean, take, for example, what the law or the Constitution says about the amounts that would be allowed for presidential, 1 billion naira, governorship, 200 million naira, House of Assembly, 10 million, the Senate, 40 million, House of Reps, 20 million, and all of that. Is that where the problem really lies?
Yeah. Beyond that, it's a law and it's subject to review. Recognizing that there is high level of inflation, the cost of a television advert has increased. If you look at the level of inflation between 2015 and 2018, you will agree with me that the cost or the inflation has increased. As such, they need to review the cost of campaigning in terms of presidential 1 billion need to be reviewed. Because just take a look of what it costs to charter aircraft for election campaign. It runs into millions of naira. take a look at also at advert, jingle, or coverage of political party campaigns in different states by media houses. You will agree with me that 1 billion naira may not be enough for a presidential election. As such, there is need for a review of the amount for presidential election and other elections. Now, take a look as well. The political parties form for contesting different elective positions has also increased to the extent of more than 50 million naira for the office of the president and other related offices. So there is need for amendment of the provisions.
Okay,
right.
unfortunately, we lost a connection
Okay,
with our guest.
he's
Okay,
back
he's still there.
With this.
Still there.
All right, David,
Okay.
can you hear me? We lost audio not long ago.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Very
Okay.
good. Just quickly before we
back.
let you go now. Now, in the First and Second Republic, members of the political party raise funds. They pay dues. They get involved with finances, trying to ensure that the political party has funds. And the party is as wealthy or has resources based on the amount of funds that members bring in. At this time, a candidate just runs everything, and candidates or members don't seem to be able to get involved with payment of dues in that regard. How lopsided do you think that is, and how does it affect the system?
To be frank with you, the non-participation of party members and mobilization of the public to contribute to party financing is an issue of serious concern. You will agree with me that many powerful individuals who are more or less described as godfathers and godmothers in political parties have seized the stage owing to the fact that political parties depend on them for financing of political party activities. And that is why we are also corruption penetrates in political party activities.
Yeah.
And this time around, it's important that political parties in Nigeria should also look to their members for financing of their activities by making contributions. Year in, year out, only close to elections that we hear political parties talking about party registration, party dues, party this in terms of members' contribution to elections, which shows that ordinarily, bulk of the political parties do not depend on their members to finance their processes or to finance their activities. Okay. Rather, they look forward to big pocket individuals within the society to finance, and this is where corrupt activities springs in within political party financing.
All right. I guess that's a good place. That's a good place to leave it.
Invite AFCC.
Yes. David Anyele is the Executive Director, Center for Citizens with Disability. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Recall that we heard not too long ago that Donald Trump, the American president, right after he became president, he started the process of raising funds. He has raised about $90 million already.
For the next election.
Ahead of 2020.
All right.
Yeah.
We thank David for joining us there. But just